Fun fact, the United States military operates under its own code of federal laws called the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Basically, this is an entire code of additional laws that are specific to the military environment, and all members of the military, active duty, National Guard, military reserves, and sometimes even retirees are subject to these laws. In this video, I'll go over some of the strangest laws in the UCMJ that are unique to military service members. Let's get to it. What's up, everybody? I'm Ashley Noel. On this channel, we talk about military lifestyles, leadership tips, and tips for living and working abroad. So if any of those topics interest you, please make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. It is completely free to you, and it does actually help the channel and lets me know that the information that I'm providing is actually useful. First up, Article 112. Drunkenness. This encompasses two types of behaviors, either being drunk on duty or being so hungover that you're not able to properly perform your job. But what is drunk? According to the UCMJ, drunk is having a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or higher, or being in a state of intoxication that is sufficient to impair the rational and full exercise of mental or physical faculties. So while it may not be a big deal in the civilian world to go out with your coworkers for a few drinks at lunch, or to see a coworker come in from a wild night before still red-eyed and looking hurt, doing the same thing in the military can have some pretty hefty consequences, especially if you are in a deployed environment where you have alcohol privileges. Next up is Article 83, malingering. Essentially, this is faking an injury or intentionally hurting yourself to get out of work or deployment. One common question that civilians often have is whether military members are able to just call in sick and skip work. Not usually. Typically, if a member gets sick, they're going to be required to report to sick call at the medical facility so that they can be seen by a physician. If they're too ill to return to work, the doctor will order the member to stay at home for a specified amount of time so that they can recover, and this is called being put on quarters. And the member will notify their supervisor of how long they are required to stay on quarters, and then they'll come back to work when the recovery time is complete. Otherwise, without the doctor ordering the member on quarters, they're probably going to be required to return to work. An offense that is common to malingering is Article 86, absence without leave. So oftentimes, particularly in a situation where a member just doesn't show up to work and they didn't have permission from their supervisor to not show up to work, then AWOL will be the charged violation. Next is Article 134, extramarital sexual conduct, which is basically adultery. Whether you're having an affair on your spouse or an affair with a married person is usually none of your employer's business in the civilian world, not so in the military world. The military cares about this when it is affecting good order and discipline, when it is of a nature that is bringing discredit upon the armed forces, or both. Why? Well, for one example, if your affair is causing gossip in the workplace and is distracting people from getting their work done or stirring up drama within the unit, you've just made your affair your commander's business because it's impacting the mission. Next, Article 134, indecent language. You know where I've seen this come up most often? I probably shouldn't talk about this. My functional will come straight from my... One place where you could see this is where you have a military member who says really terrible things to a child. I've seen that before. That is definitely a scenario where this comes into play. Another scenario could be if somebody just clean cusses their coworker out in the middle of the work center. I can see this also coming into play in that scenario as well. Article 133, conduct unbecoming of an officer and a gentleman. What does this even mean? Per the UCMJ, this covers action or behavior in an official capacity which, in dishonoring or disgracing the person as an officer, seriously compromises the officer's character as a gentleman, or action or behavior in an unofficial or private capacity which, in dishonoring or disgracing the officer personally, seriously compromises the person's standing as an officer. So examples: acts of dishonesty, unfair dealing, indecency, indecorum, lawlessness, injustice, or cruelty. Honestly, any misconduct that an officer commits could be characterized as conduct unbecoming of an officer and a gentleman. Also, I'll note, though it says gentleman, this offense is gender neutral, so it could also apply to a woman. So what are the different types of punishment in the military? I've actually made an entire video about that, so feel free to click here to be able to check out that video next, and also feel free to check out the military playlist that I've put together for a whole host of other interesting topics. I do appreciate your time. I thank you for being here, and I'll see ya.